Hold on.
If I bleed tonight, if I am sad tonight, I don't have a job to find. And if I work tonight, if I'm so tired tonight, I'll fall asleep when I'm home, when I'm home. I was just so far from here, focused on my own way, with never looking back to those who lived in fear. There was nothing I could do, there was nothing you said that could make me realize how much left.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Around the Ropes with Jon and Jeff for July 1st, 2025. Guys, hopefully everybody is enjoying this warm weather and hopefully you're staying cool. Let me send it over to the man who's literally a hop, skip, and a jump away from Canada. Only Jeff. Jeff, what's going on?
How are you, John? Life
Doing
is
good.
good up here.
Doing good. Guys, I think it's safe to say, Jeff, you and I have been quite busy the last couple of days.
It's felt like I've talked to you more than I've talked to my own wife at times, I'll tell you. But I got to tell you, John, and I'm not going to steal your thunder, but for our fans out there and our listeners, we got some exciting news to announce tonight. We got some exciting news that we announced last night. Our numbers are skyrocketing in terms of viewership and participation. And it just seems like our show is just, we got some new promotions that we're going to be working with that you're going to announce, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how excited are we for this first show of July?
I'm freaking ecstatic right now. First thing I want to mention, I know for a while it's always been, catch us on Facebook, catch us on Facebook. Not anymore. We debuted last night, and right now we are live, not only on Facebook, but we're also live on YouTube, and we're also live on Twitch. Search Around the Ropes on any of those. You'll find us. If you're on our YouTube page, please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get those numbers up. Once we hit 100 subscribers, then we can have a custom URL, which is big because right now, Jeff, just to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit, right now our URL for YouTube is like a bunch of random letters put together.
Yep.
If we hit the 100, then we can have a custom one. But we have to hit the 100. And guys, that's where you guys come in, the ATR Nation. You guys, all you got to do, and it wouldn't take you that long. If you go to our YouTube page, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified. That's all. It costs you nothing. It does wonders for us.
Like, share, and subscribe, like everybody asks.
Exactly.
It's free to do. It's a free support for our system, and it just helps us grow and continue to provide you with better and more content.
Yes, and also while we're in the announcement mode, we do have an email address now. If you guys want to email us anything, our email address is right there. AroundTheRopesPodcast26@gmail.com. Obviously, we'll update it in the weeks to come on the new name, but that's the official email address for the show. If you have any questions or anything you want to let us know and you can't let us know here, just shoot us an email and we will definitely let you get back to you guys as soon as we can. But there's also some more stuff to get to.
Well, I mean, we've made so many announcements. It's hard to keep up, John. So let's start with we debuted last night on YouTube, okay?
Yep.
And we announced 2 new partnerships.
Yes, I'll get to those right
now.
now.
Who are we partnering with?
We are first going to be partnered with Championship Entertainment Productions. They are a company based out here on Long Island. Joe Ocasio, who is the owner and the promoter, he was on with us last night. Definitely go back and watch that video. And Jeff, I can also make this announcement because I just spoke to Mr. Kazi before we went live tonight. If you guys remember back on the show last night, he was mentioning how they are going to be at RC Dugan's on the 13th and the show on the 14th in Freeport. Well, I can announce right now, Around the Ropes podcast, Around the Ropes with Jon and Jeff. Sorry, I keep saying the podcast. Around the Ropes with Jon and Jeff will be in attendance both days.
I will be there on Monday the 14th. You will be there on the 13th, and you will also be there on the 14th, correct?
Yes, I will. And I can also tell you this. I'm not sure yet what our capacity is going to be, but it's once we get official word on what
our presence will be known.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
That's just what we'll say for now. Is our presence will be known at the show. We don't know yet how, but we will have a presence. John, our other partnership, John. Who else are we partnering with?
Then we also have the heck is it? Just had it here a second ago. Wrestling is now based in New Jersey. This is the Maximo's company. And I can also say now with them, we're not just partnering with them, Jeff.
No.
We are the official voice of Win.
Yeah.
Jeff, I'm going to ask you this right now. If you would have told me when you joined the show back at the end of beginning of April, right around WrestleMania,
oh my gosh, wow,
that we would, that in all the companies we work with, we would have the title of official voice of a New Jersey company, would you sit there and say, Bull, I don't believe it?
You know, John, there's always been a lot of potential with your dream here, and we talked about this. We talk about this privately between you and I. So what I call bull, probably not, but it would just be something that I knew that we would have to work hard for to get to where we are at now with these announcements that we're making. And while we're making that announcements, it looks like we got some comments coming in from some friends and family.
I'm going to pull them up right now. First, let me bring it up.
Do we have to bring up that one? Come on.
I'm going to bring this one up now. You know, our friend Billy. Hey there,
hi, Billy. Thank you, as always, for your support, Billy.
And obviously, David chiming in here with his thoughts on Night of Champions. We'll get into that a little bit later because I have some thoughts about Night of Champions, especially that ending. And my sister chiming in here saying, love the new background. Yes, forgot to mention, we have a new background.
We got a new background. We got a new logo. We got new partners. We got another major announcement coming up in about 5-6 minutes here. I mean,
well, I didn't unveil the logo yet.
And I was just gonna say, and on top of all of that, John, what's our new logo?
There you go, guys. I look at it this way, and I said this to Jeff offline. As the show evolves and becomes bigger and bigger, certain things have to evolve with the show. Not saying we are getting rid of the old logo completely. No. We're just changing it up a little bit.
We kept your vision with the microphone, the ropes, and the ATR. We just happened to brand it with who we are and what we do. And we wanted people to see exactly what it is we do. That's a logo that, you know, it tells our fans, thank you, Jen. Wow, it's like Jen must be your sister or something. Must be your father's daughter there, John.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking at with this. Is we try to keep it simple.
All right. Now, John, can I make my small announcement now?
Yeah,
between our logo?
Yeah.
I'm not promising when. I'm just saying soon you will be able to get merchandise, ATR merchandise, available through our Facebook page.
Yes.
So we are working on that. We have a design approval. The producer, John, has given his authorization and signed off on me to the logo and the design aspect I came up with for a t-shirt and a sweatshirt. So future merchandise options will be available for our fans and subscribers.
Yes, and guys, obviously it's funny because when it comes to pro wrestling, it seems like there's a buzz in the air. Obviously, if you know this show, you know one of the biggest inspirations for this show is Busted Open, Jeff. And
Yep.
today they debuted Pro Wrestling Nation 24/7.
Yeah.
So there is this buzz with pro wrestling right now, and
Wait a minute. You're missing, you're missing the other key aspect of that announcement. It's not just that they're doing pro wrestling 24/7. SiriusXM is not even covering other sports now. They've devoted a whole channel to wrestling 24/7. So I just, as we've said, I've said this many times over the past 3 months. It's just never been a better time to be a wrestling fan. Honestly.
yeah, no, I completely agree. And it is,
John, as we're talking here, right above me, I'm watching an old SummerSlam, and I'm reminded of the first time we did a show together. Do you remember our first show together?
it was a retrospect show.
A retrospect. What do you think, John, and what do you think the fans would think if we did a relook at the history of SummerSlam as we approach the SummerSlam season in a few weeks?
Oh, I think they would love it. I think they would be, but I think also, Jeff, what we need to do, and you and I can figure this out more behind the scenes after, we need to possibly maybe have a few of the fans join us, get different opinions.
I'm all for it. We got David, we got Mark, we got, your sister, Billy, we have Mike in South Troy. We have a bunch of people that chime in and that have offered support for us. And we want this to be your show just as much as it is our show. John, you and I have talked about this. How many car rides to Albany have you and I spent 45 minutes talking about the show belongs to everyone, not just to us?
Well,
right?
I completely agree. One of the things I did when I started the show almost 4 years ago is I wanted to make the show that it was by the fans, by a fan, for the fan. I know that's a cliche we hear all over pro wrestling, but it's true. I'm never going to come on the show, Jeff's never going to come on the show and say that we're journalists or that we're dirt sheet guys.
Correct.
We are fans. Jeff has been a fan for 40 plus years. I've been a fan for the better part of the last 10 plus years or so. And we do this because we love the sport. We love the fact that we have this opportunity, and many people don't have the opportunity we do. But Jeff, let's pause on the thanking, because we can thank everybody afterwards, Jeff, because we actually have a special guest in the room right now. So I want to, actually, before we bring on this guest, Jeff, I showed you this beforehand. Guys, we were talking about Win and CEP, Championship Entertainment Productions. But there's another company that we're going to be working with now, and they're based in Chicago. And Jeff, I'm actually going to pull both of us off the screen for a second.
Go ahead.
To show this video. Guys, this is a video that was actually, well, I'll let you guys see the video, and then we can discuss it right here. Hang on.
Chasing dreams and crushing their opponents' hopes, like legends under the
Now, obviously, you guys saw the video. Flow, Fantastic League of Wrestling, is one of our newest partners that are joining the Around the Ropes family. And to talk about all of what's going on with Flow, how it got started, the whole concept behind it, we're pleased to bring onto the show now the CEO, the man behind it all, Mr. Jon Bullard. Jon, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Hey, it's an honor and privilege to be on the show, and gentlemen, I look forward to this.
John, I'm the only one who can put a title on the screen, so we gotta. I'm teasing. If he gets to be CEO, John, can I be CEO?
Why not?
Well, how about this? When I add a couple more zeros to your paycheck, then you can be the CEO. Moving on, Jon. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Before we get into Flow and everything, what made you want to be a pro wrestling fan?
Well, I grew up in wrestling. Pretty much watched it my entire life. Broke into the business when I was 16 years old. My school teacher, Miss Diane Shribby, God rest her soul, her son was a professional wrestler, and while I was in high school, that's when I got my first break into professional wrestling. Started showing up and setting up the rings and taking down rings and paying the dues, and pretty much went from there to learn the business and been involved with it ever since 2001.
That seems to be a common theme.
I'm not just talking about as a promoter, but a wrestler, a referee, a manager, commentator, play-by-play man, commentator as well, ring announcer, ran an amazing concession stands, ticket taker, you name it. I've literally done every job in professional wrestling.
I didn't mean to talk over you there, John. I'm sorry about that. What I was trying to say was that seems to be a common thread for people in your position, is that, you know, they broke in and they had to earn their dues. And we hear a common story of setting up the rings, you know, paying the dues literally meant, you know, paying your dues, like, you know, sweat labor, right?
Exactly.
And surely somebody brought you in, smartened you up to the business, and it sounds like you've worn just about every hat when it comes to wrestling company, correct?
That's correct. I haven't done television production. I was one of the guys holding the camera up on his shoulder, recording shows back in the days when camcorders were actually the thing you put on your shoulders, and the thing weighed like 50 pounds. So you imagine doing a 4 or 5 TV studio tapings in one night. I mean, talking about a workout. All that for a cold chili dog. You know, it's like, welcome to the business, kid. You know, so.
But you earned it. It probably helped you respect and see a whole side of the business that probably helped you grow. And now you have an appreciation for the business, right?
Absolutely.
That you are bringing forward in your company now.
I take no position lightly. And so when I hire anybody for a job with Fantastic League of Wrestling, every position is treated with respect, from security all the way up to our camera crew. Our referees have to be top notch. We're what a lot of people call a very well-oiled and very well-run machine.
I'm excited to hear that, and I'm excited that we're partnering with you. I've been researching your Facebook page and your events and reading up on your profiles here. You seem to be growing, and you have some shows coming up. Do you want to talk about them at all?
Yeah. So we have a lot of big events coming up. Outside of Flow, our world champion, and I do use that term legitimately, our world champion, Tommy Gunn from the United Kingdom. He's going to be defending the Fantastic League of Wrestling World Supernova Championship in Mexico. Coming up for our partners, Strong Classic Wrestling. They're based out of Morelia, Mexico. He'll be taking on probably one of the best wrestlers in Mexico named Rene Rocks. That's going to be on July 12th. Tommy's going to be down there for a 2-week tour. And then August 2nd, we'll be in Fort Wayne, Indiana as part of the Summit City Carnival, which is a massive carnival that sees approximately about 800,000 people for the entire week. coming up. And so we're going to be expecting a huge crowd for that event. We also have our Home Away from Home, our theme park show that we do with Indiana Beach Amusement and Water Park in Monticello, Indiana. It's one of our favorite venues to work with.
Yeah.
Going for our fourth consecutive sellout that we've had there. Standing room only crowds every single show that we've had there so far. And then September 6th, we got the Popcorn Festival in Valparaiso, Indiana. That's a huge festival, draws about 100,000 people. And then we have a couple other things coming up as well. October, we'll be back in Illinois, Ottawa on October 11th. And then October 25th, we're doing a huge collaboration show with our other partners, All Star Lucha Libre, at the world famous Bourbon Eagles Club. So it's a lot of big events coming up.
It sounds like it. We got a question coming through. Are you ever going to be through the Cincinnati, Ohio area? One of our fans wanted to know.
You know, we'd love to do that. I have a huge history with Cincinnati. A good friend of mine back when I was promoting shows in Kentucky for Pro Wrestling Freedom, a lot of Roger Ruffin's NWF guys would come out of the Cincinnati, Ohio area and to come down and wrestle for us. So Cincinnati holds a special place. A lot of our events are paid shows. We get a lot of venues, a lot of organizations that want to bring us in for entertainment. I always tell people the best thing about Fantastic League of Wrestling, we're kind of like a traveling circus. People bring us in to travel around the country, put on amazing shows. A superhero pro wrestling show is the best way I could put it. As you've seen a lot of our characters on our show or roster, very colorful, a lot of masked wrestlers, larger than life personalities, very family friendly. It's something that you bring the entire family to, and the action is amazing. And so it's not like when you hear family friendly wrestling, it's like, oh God, it's going to be so boring and so cookie cutter. But our shows are family friendly for everybody, but the wrestling's amazing. And we always go for our absolute best talents and unique characters that you only get to see at Flow.
You can find a lot of those characters on your Facebook page, and they are unique, aren't they?
They are indeed.
I'm looking right at them right now, your roster, and it is a wide variety of your cookie cutter wrestling all the way down to you got lucha libre style in there, you got strongman style wrestling in there. I mean, you've got masked characters wearing capes. You've got a little bit of everything, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, our world champion's from United Kingdom, trained by the great Marty Jones and Johnny Saint, Tommy Gunn, the Rapid Fire, who's an excellent showman of the British world of sport style of wrestling, which anybody knows they're wrestling. The British are pound for pound probably the best technical wrestlers in the world.
You know what's funny is as you say that, before you came on, I mentioned to John, the co-host, or John, the producer, that I'm watching an old SummerSlam, and it's got the Dynamite Kid in it. Yeah. And, if there's any better representation of the British wrestling style, I challenge anyone to find it than Dynamite. Just
especially at that time period.
Yeah, from the mid 80s all the way up to the very early 90s. Just the way he performed in the ring and the influence he had all the way through to today's stars.
Oh, absolutely.
We do have fans in the UK too, so that's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we're in United Kingdom. We're partnered with Marty Jones. Marty Jones and his Wrestling Academy. Marty, for the people who are not familiar with Marty Jones, which is such a great disservice, people don't know about him. He was the man who trained William Regal. So he is a very close friend of mine. Marty Jones, go back 1978. Marty Jones versus Rollerball Mark Roca. And they put on a match that was 25 years ahead of its time.
Now, John, obviously I know you were saying before how you started, you got broken into this industry as a wrestler. You went up to now being a promoter. When does John the wrestler shut off and John the CEO kind of begin? Is there really a difference between the two?
Yes and no. Um, I do work with my kids hands on as a mentor, and I do give them my advice as in ring when I see things that could be polished or worked on to become better. We're also kind of blessed that we have a lot of good coaches that works with us as well. A fantastic league. Of course, Tommy Gunner Champion works with a lot of the younger guys and girls to mentor them, teach them the world of sports style. Lightning Mike Quackenbush works with us as well, which if you guys are familiar with Shakara, he works with us at Flow. So we're kind of get that spiritual, I won't say spiritual successor of Shakara by any means, but Mike said it best at our last show when he was wrestling with us. He said he definitely felt the spirit of Shakara breathing within the company, which is an amazing, uh, just an amazing compliment to get from him. But the wrestler in me will never fade away. I've been retired from the ring since 2019, but for me as a promoter, literally when I wake up in the morning until I take my deep sleep, big breath before you go and you go to sleep. That's when I finally turn off. And I think in my brain, I'm probably booking or putting something together in my brain in my sleep. So there's times my wife is like, "You were putting a match together in your sleep last night." And I was like, "Oh, that's what that
Oh, well,
was."
that's nice.
Like,
Was it good? Did it have a good finish? Was she taking notes for you? That's the good question, right?
She has at times. My wife.
I bet.
So, but no, it doesn't really fade away. It's just there are certain aspects where the former wrestler in me, and I think what has helped me with my relationships with the people who work for me, is that there's time in wrestling you'll find a lot of promoters that have never stepped in the ring at all,
Mm-hmm.
and for a lot of wrestlers they can't communicate nor gel with those promoters. They might get along with them business wise, but when it comes to talking about what is going on in the ring, there's a lot of times those promoters don't understand. For them, it helps out with me because I've been in that position. I know what it's like to wrestle hurt. I know what it's like to have a double shot and kind of make sure you're there on the show on time. The travel, being away from the family. One of the things we do at Fantastic League as well too, we don't run any holiday shows. And the reason why I do that is I want my guys and girls to be home with their families on those days, because I feel like it's important to have your family time.
You could definitely hear the passion you have for not only the business but for your company come through, and that's just that statement right there that you make about no holiday shows. It just shows how much you care about the product you put forth, but also the mental health and the quality of the product, because that allows your people also time to step back and relax and come back to work for you fully, with their batteries fully charged and
Absolutely.
maybe healed up a little bit, maybe sleep off a headache if you need to, kind of what it's like better than we do. So
Yeah, and there's times too if I know one of my guys and girls is sick or they're not feeling good, and there's times you're like, "Oh, boss, I got to be there," and I tell them, "Stay home. So you're not feeling good. I want you to get rest up." Your the last show, and I won't say his name, but he had a health scare, and he was like so determined to make the show. And I told him, I was like, "Look, if you make the show and something happens to you and you get worse, I can't live with myself knowing that you did that for me." And I was like, "I'd rather you be home, you rest up, take your medications, take care of yourself, and come back to me within the next couple of weeks. We'll be back on the road again. No worries, no position loss. Your health comes first."
It's nice to hear when you bring that up, because so many times we've heard in pro wrestling where if some and we just did an episode a couple weeks ago, myself and Jeff, on mental health
Yeah.
and within pro wrestling, and one of the things that we always hear in pro wrestling, especially back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
What I'm watching right now, yeah.
Yeah, when Vince was running things, is you had a concussion, unless you had like a broken body part, you had to be there. So the fact that you're sitting there telling these guys and girls, "Hey, You don't feel good. You don't have to come in. And I know a lot of times, all of a sudden, they'll have that fear of, well, if I don't come in, I'm going to lose my position. I'm going to have to do this. And to hear you sit here and say, well, that's not going to happen, I give you a lot of props for that.
I appreciate that. And the thing is, I started promoting my first show 2012. And that happened when 2011, I had a very serious back injury that almost crippled me. And it came down to the point of, I don't know if I'm going to wrestle again. So maybe this time around, I'll learn the ropes of being a promoter. And I was very blessed and very lucky that over the years that I got to sit down with a lot of good bookers, a lot of good promoters, and they were always willing to teach. Anybody who wants to learn the stuff, they would try to teach. And it was one of those things that I didn't think at the time, like, I ever want to be a promoter or a booker. But at that time, it kind of started dawning on me. He's like, I hate to use the word groom because groom sounds like such a bad word, but groom in this standpoint is a good thing. In a lot of ways, I was groomed to learn that job from the old guard on how to do things and how to run a business. So when that injury came about, I sat around for a good while and thought to myself, like, you know what? Why don't I run a show, try it, and look at the market that's around me and figure out what's missing. It's one of the best advice I give to any young promoters out there. Know your surroundings, know the area that you're in. Learn what everyone else is doing, and then go out there and do the total opposite. Because if everyone's doing the same thing, you don't want to do that. Why? If everybody's having chicken noodle soup 5 days a week, by the time you offer a T-bone steak and a big old baked potato, my God, that sounds good. I don't know about you guys. Sounds good to me if you have 5 days straight of soup and it's the same thing you had every single day. And every place you go to serves the same dish. Wrestling's the same way. Wrestling is best served as a buffet.
I was going to say, so is that your vision for Flow, is to be different from what all the other, how all the other indie promotions and various promotions do things? Because I look at your pictures, I see I'm looking at packed buildings here, John. And it's quite impressive. So obviously you must be doing something right. And was that your vision, was to be different from the beginning?
Absolutely.
Or did you want to just be another indie promoter out of Chicago?
Never. I always tell people I never followed the same path. When I ran shows in Kentucky, everyone in Kentucky was doing 1980s Memphis style wrestling.
Yep.
Nothing against old school wrestling. Grew up on it. Love it. But at the time period, I also noticed a lot of promoters had very small houses. The reason why, everyone was doing the same thing. Every show I've ever went to, they would say, let's say you have 5 matches on the card. 3 out of the 5 matches, the guy wins by the foot on the rope. Almost no, and sometimes that's the same finish every single match. And
it's that Southern style, yeah. That's.
But the fans were so bored of it. So when Pro Wrestling Freedom came about, the idea was, we're not going to book any of the old guard. Nothing against them, but I saw a great group of young generational wrestlers coming up that they weren't given an opportunity by other promoters. They were mainly just put into the opening act, or they were the mid card. Very few of them ever got the chance to be in the main event. So when PWF started, it was youth group. Everything about it was the youth movement and the selfies. So I booked the best wrestlers out of Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia, Georgia, anywhere in the Southeast. We had the best cream of the crop from every state. That was the best workers. And that's what I booked. And they were all young, in their early 20s. I think the oldest guy on our roster was 40. And he was like our locker room leader, locker room vet. Everybody else, young. And they wrestle a very hybrid style, very technical, high flyers. And it was so different from what everyone else was doing. Our houses were huge. The average attendance of a PWF show at that time in 2012 was 350 to 400 paid.
That's a pretty good house.
where the average of most of those
So
houses in the rest of the state was probably 50 to 75.
So as we kind of wind down here, and we're excited to partner with you and work with you and promote you, your shows, who do you have coming up? Who do you see is maybe not your future world champ, but who on your roster gets you, maybe the promoter, but also you as a wrestler, really excited? Who stands out? Who can we get behind right now?
There's so many talents. Yeah, that could be an whole day. Gran Torino out of Michigan
Okay.
is really good. Zach Abstract. Both those guys came back from a tour in Japan, one of our partners at FTO. We have Chip Walker, who is an NCAA All-American wrestler. Very much if you guys like the Dr. Duff Steve Williams human suplex machine, that's him all the way through.
I will attest that your entire roster looks young enough to be my children. I mean, they're some fresh face looking people, if you don't mind me saying, but they look talented and like they know their stuff. I'm just saying you have a very young roster.
Young core.
You weren't lying.
So
are you a Chicago native, or really?
No, I'm an outsider. So moved to the Chicago area about 6 years ago, Chicagoland area. My wife's family's from Chicago, but I'm not. Another thing I just want to touch on, I don't know how long the show lasts. I don't want to overrun you guys on your show. But one of the things that does stand out about Flow and the roster, I also want to give a shout out to Stella Buho and those effing guys as well, TFG, our tag champs, that are phenomenal talents as well. There's the entire roster deserves a shout out for what they do because they all put in the work. But what we do is different. We greet our fans before the show even opens, before the doors open. Our wrestlers come out and talk to the fans, hangs out with them. When we do our theme park shows, we actually do the March of the Wrestlers, where we all walk through the theme park in gear and costumes, and we get people to march with us into the building. You know, we're very fan
engagement is very important.
Oh, we're fan first. Fans come first. We don't do an intermission at our show. What we do a 1 hour fan fest every show. So before the show even opens, 1 hour, hang out with all the wrestlers you want to hang out with, take your photos, buy all your merch you want, anything you have questions on, you know, they're there to answer it for you. You know, we're even working on a pro wrestling fan fest. We're gonna have like bounce houses, dunk tanks, the whole 9 yards, like an old school carnival, but just for wrestling and for our fans.
It's exciting.
Yeah,
so
it's all about giving back to them.
So we only have a few more minutes here, if I'm not mistaken, right, John, the producer?
Yes.
I just want to close my portion of the interview with you, John, the CEO, with a controversial statement that's going to upset my co-host. Chicago deep dish pizza is 100% better than anything out of New York City. So, and you can take that to the bank, John, the producer. Chicago deep dish has got New York pizza beat, which is why.
Well, I can't say anything. I've never had Chicago. I've never been in Chicago, to be honest.
It's my favorite United States city. Chicago is.
You guys just have to come out and visit us for a show. Let me know.
I would love to
make a road trip. Please do.
I love Chicago. It's a clean city. It's not like what it's portrayed on the media.
Such a total
opposite. Is. I have had nothing but a great time in Chicago. I've ridden the bus out to the north side. I've been to the south side. I've been to a Cubs game. I've been to a Sox game, and I've never felt safer, honestly. So, Chicago is just my heart for America. It's my favorite American city. No lie.
Chicago gets a bad rep. Don't get me wrong. There are some neighborhoods in Chicago that you have to be careful.
Of course.
With, you know, like any American city. Let's be honest. But I will say this: I take the train to Chicago because I live in Northwest Indiana. That's my home area.
Yep.
I live in the Chicagoland area. I take the train almost every week to go into the heart of Chicago. And
you get right in the loop, right?
Yeah, do the South Shore, and then I get on either the red line, the blue line.
The red line or the blue line, right?
Yep. And there's so many different lines to go to all across the city. But
See, John.
honestly, there's so much going on. You walk down the streets, you got street musicians, you got
Yep.
you'll
You
never
got
be
Navy
bored with
Pier.
Chicago.
You got yeah. See, John, you're in New York City. You got numbers on your trains mostly. Chicago's got colors, so they make it's so easy and user friendly over in that city to get on their L. It's either the red, the blue, the yellow, or the orange, and they're all going to take you on the inner or the outer loop, and then you just go from there.
The beautiful thing about Chicago too, for $5, you get a CTA ticket. That's
Yep.
good for 24 hours. You get on a bus and the train, 24 hours.
No.
Just
So
for
John,
$5.
maybe ATR should invest in a trip and go see our new partners in Flow. What do you think?
I'm game.
I'm down for it.
I'm totally game for that. Chicago is one city, and I mean I can sit here forever. Chicago is one city that's on my bucket list to go visit because unfortunately my extent of traveling has been to, as far as like in regards to the wrestling world, has been to Philly. That's the farthest I've been. You know,
Been to
outside.
Albany. You've been to Albany.
I'm saying outside of New York.
Hey,
You know, it's
Philadelphia is the heart and soul of pro wrestling. Anybody, I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, we could make fun of Philadelphia all we want, but Philly, ECW Arena, you know, that fan base changed the face of wrestling.
Well, John, the CEO, it sounds like we got to have you on again real soon.
Love to.
And it sounds like we could talk for hours and hours. So we appreciate you coming on tonight. And with that, I turn it over to my producer.
John. Again, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll definitely be in contact because, like Jeff, my co-host, said, him and I, we have to figure out our schedules and working everything out. But we definitely want to make a trip out to Chicago and not only come to a show, but maybe do a live around the ropes with Jon and Jeff from a future Flow show.
Hey, let me know, guys. We'll make it happen.
Absolutely. Again,
John, we'll have you on real soon.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, guys. I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Absolutely, John. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. All right, guys, that was Jon, CEO. Let me just do some producer stuff back here for a hot second. Jeff, quickly, I know we normally would take a commercial, but we're not going to do a commercial right now. What'd you think overall?
I'm just excited for a new partnership, and it's something so different from your regular indie wrestling. I encourage people to go check out Flow on Facebook. You can find them right on. You can they'll be linked to our page as all of our other partners are, and
Yes.
I encourage you to go check it out because everything he said is legit. Those stars, that roster. I mean, I couldn't find anybody that looked to be over 30 years old. And not that experience should be overlooked or overshadowed, and we should only promote young guys. But it's exciting for somebody my age to see a young promotion like that. You know?
I completely agree. I'm just looking forward, and also forgot to mention, we might also have another promotion working with us. I'm going to get the definite okay tomorrow afternoon. So stay locked into our Facebook page because this is another one. I'm just going to put it this way. We started, and then we'll get to the war game stuff here in a second. We started this, yes, I know there was at one point in the show where we had like 13 promotions we were working with, and we were going all over the place. Now the promotions we're working with are some of the best wrestling you will see.
Well, it's quality. It's quality over quantity. That's what we always talk about, John.
Exactly. We've been talking about it, for forever now. But guys, obviously, Jeff, you saw WWE put out the Survivor Series poster.
Yep.
Yes. And a few interesting names on there is Roman Reigns and Rey Mysterio. But no Dominic, though. Dirty Dom's not on there, so I find that very interesting. But I bring that up.
He's injured, though, right? Isn't he playing up an injury right now?
Yeah, he is. But I bring that up because, obviously, as we just had with Jon, CEO from Flow on, and it's superheroes meets pro wrestling. And it got me thinking, well, how can we incorporate that into the show? So the last segment we have for you guys tonight, Jeff and I have put together our own Ultimate War Games match, where it's not like the Four Horsemen and so against Dusty Rhodes and three other guys. This is obviously, as you saw in our thumbnail, it's pro wrestlers going up against superheroes. But now the catch is this, and if you're in the comment section, let us know who you would pick. The catch is this, though. For either side, there is no limitations on who to pick from.
So you were open to pick from any promotion in any time period, and
Yep.
I was open to pick from any genre and Marvel, DC, and independent superheroes. So with that said, I have a list of 5. My 5 who's going to go up against your 5, and I think I'm going to win. So,
well, what we're going to do is once we put them out, we will put out a poll on our Facebook page, and then we're going to let the ATR Nation decide who's going to win.
Sure.
Because I think this is going to be one where both of them are going to be very close. But Jeff, let's start it off this way. Who is your first superhero that you pick?
So when you're planning a War Games match, your first challenger going into the ring should be somebody who's fast and who can go and who has the endurance, right? So I had to go with the Flash because he's going to be able to keep up with the entire length of that match. It's going to be a long match, a long, grueling match.
For me, my first, going off of the same thought process that you had, figured, okay, it's the first guy in. You want to make sure the guy has endurance, has good stamina, can be able to, because obviously, if people who watch us who don't know, the War Games match does not officially start until all 10 wrestlers are in the 2 rings. I want to make that clear. It doesn't start when the first 2 come in. So you want to have a guy who's going to be able to be there, who could be in there for a half hour before the match gets started.
Before it even starts, yeah. So who are you picking?
My first guy is not a Hall of Famer. He's not a major name. But when you think of endurance, and you think of stamina, there's one guy that comes to mind, in my opinion. And that's Claudio Castagnoli, also known as Cesaro from WWE. He has the endurance. He has everything. And he is somebody who, his cardio is insane, who I feel could start off well and keep things going until all the other guys are in that ring. So my first guy is Claudio Castagnoli.
All right. So my second superhero, I figure your second star in is going to want to be somebody who's agile, who can get on the ropes, who can do some moves, who's going to be able to kind of bring some excitement into a match because you're probably going to be slowing things down a little bit. So you want to get somebody that can move. And for that, who can move better than Spider-Man?
Not
so
a bad
right now
one.
I'm on the Flash and Spider-Man.
Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going off my head on these. I'm going to write the rest of mine down so I don't forget it because I had Cesaro first. And wait till you guys hear who I have coming up after him because it is going to be an interesting combination. We talk about, I think the one thing with this is Jeff and I had very similar thought processes when it came to picking who we were going to have. And I want to bring somebody in who has the speed, who's going to get the crowd excited, who's going to get the crowd moving.
Yeah.
The guy I mentioned before when we were talking about the poster, and that's Mr. 619 himself.
Ray Jr.
Yes. I think you put him in there, and I'm not talking, Ray now, he can still wrestle phenomenally, but I'm talking Ray when he was in I'm talking like mid-90s, early 2000s.
So we're talking WCW Ray Mysterio.
Yeah. Yep.
That's still wearing a mask, still wearing his original mask, Ray Mysterio Jr. Yes. So Ray Mysterio Jr. we are going with.
Yes.
Okay, so your third entrance, this has to be your utility player, your utility bat, right? They've got to be able to handle who's already in the ring and add a little excitement. So who is a better utility player who can get up there and do something other than Ant-Man? And you can have him big, you can have him little, but he's going to be out there providing a little bit of excitement against. He could probably go up against Rey Mysterio Jr. there. They're about the same size. So who's your number 3?
Unfortunately, there's no wrestlers in WWE in wrestling who are this. Oh, actually, wait. There is one. There is a wrestler. It just dawned on me, who's actually about the same height as Ant-Man, and he wrestles in MLW. You see him sometimes down in Mexico, and that's Micro Man.
Okay. Yes. All right. Your 4th wrestler. Now you're going to start getting to the meat and the potatoes of the match. So you're going to want to get somebody in that can kind of start to bring the match together. Okay. So you want a smart wrestler. You want somebody who can work with everyone. And like I said, who has the mental capacity to kind of start to bring that match and the story together. And who's the smartest superhero out there other than Batman?
So you got Batman, and my sister just comments here and goes, Micro Man? Yes, Jen, that actually is a wrestler.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. He's kind of pretty famous. So who's your number 4?
My number 4 right now, it's an interesting one because a lot of people don't like him right now because they claim he's ruining pro wrestling. But you want to talk about a smart wrestler. There's nobody, in my opinion, who's smarter than John Cena. This is a guy who's been doing this now for 25 years. He is
again, someone who's going to come in and tell a story and start bringing a match together, right?
He's won so many titles. When he's in the ring, even now, for example, when he's doing his heel stuff now, and everybody complains that, oh, you don't like this, you don't like this. Hate to break the news to you guys. He is a heel. You're not supposed to like a heel.
No, and for as many boos as he's getting twice as many cheers still, which is crazy.
Exactly.
Because he's pretty much telling everyone to go screw off, and he's getting cheered out of the building. My 5th wrestler, and this is where you're gonna tie your team together, and you will not beat this team when it's led by Superman, the Man of Steel. Come on, John. Beat that. And don't give me CM Punk or anybody else.
No. You want to talk about a guy you can't beat. Let's go back to the 80s here for a hot minute.
Okay, are you going to say Andre? Are you going to say Hogan? Who are you going to say? Ric Flair? Who are you going with?
I did have Andre, but you stole my thunder on that one. So I'm going to come up with another person. And this is a guy who, you go back to WrestleMania 3, okay? I'm not talking Hogan. I'm not talking Andre here.
Macho.
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. You want to talk about a guy?
You're going to counter. So you're going to counter. What was Gorilla Monsoon's favorite saying? The immovable force meets the irresistible object.
Yeah.
That's what that matchup would be right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, John, you have my list. I think you should publish each list and see what the fans think, who the fans agree with.
Yes, and by the way, Jenny, that's not nice.
No, tell Jen, no, you.
No, that's
man. Now show everybody what Jenny said.
Really?
That's your sister.
Oh, I know.
John, you really do. You really do need to go to Chicago. We need to find a way to get out to Chicago, but we also need to kind of wrap up the show tonight, right?
Yes, we do, because guys, catch the replay this coming Saturday on Odyssey and iHeartRadio, starting at 12 p.m. Guys, also, actually, before we get into that, Jeff, any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
Nothing from this side of things. Like I said, I'm watching an old SummerSlam, and I'm just in all wrestling glory right now. So keep an eye out for a future SummerSlam show, and obviously our new partnerships. And we didn't even get a chance to talk about Night of Champions, so that might be something you and I do freely over the next few days.
Yes, and guys, I said this before. I appreciate everybody who has been a fan of the show. I appreciate everybody who's been a part of the show and where the show is going. The show is going upwards. The show is getting bigger, and that's not a fat joke. I'm just saying the show is getting bigger. Because I've said this before. You may not know who we are, but so soon enough, most people, if you don't know who we are now, are going to know exactly who we are. And I'll leave everybody with this line. Actually, it's a lot I can't say because we can't curse, so I'll have to rephrase it another time for next week. But guys, coming up next week on our post July 4th episode, I did not even tell Jeff this one yet. Because we got 4 events coming up next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We got Great American Bash. We got Evolution. All In. Saturday night's main event. Next week, guys, we are going to somehow pull this one off. We are going to be giving you guys our preview of all 4 of these events next week.
I'm excited.
So, guys, again, next week we will get you guys ready for Evolution 2, All In Texas, Saturday night's main event with the greatest main event of all time, Goldberg taking on Gunther, and Great American Bash. So, guys, you definitely want to stay tuned for that one. Like I said, guys, catch the replay on the show on Saturday. Again, guys, hopefully everybody has a great July 4th. Please be safe. Do not pull a Jason Pierre-Paul. If you're a football fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about with that. For Jeff, I'm John. This has been Around the Ropes with Jon and Jeff. Thank you, and we'll catch you guys next time.